CJ Nickolas vs Seo Geon Woo was one of the most stylistically wild matchups of 2025. They're both friends, but you really couldn't tell based on this fight. We'll break down every meaningful detail to help us understand the unusual exchanges that took place. Let's begin. To help us understand why this match ended up going viral, we have to first compare their styles. CJ Nickolas is currently the face of Taekwondo, known for his dynamic way of fighting. He doesn't hide in the clinch. His height at 188 centimeters is average for the weight class, but his focus is on keeping the fight at a certain range. His explosive and reactive nature allows him to keep his opponent on the outside, create opportunities with setups thanks to his great cut kick, and react to almost every attack. This means that he deals with clinch entries extremely well. The idea is to not get backed up, giving him space to play around with. He loves a fast-paced match. On the contrary, he usually struggles with taller athletes that have great control over distance. Seo Geon Woo is the polar opposite. He has managed to beat fighters even 20 centimeters taller than him. That's his specialty. He's got one of the most insane gas tanks in the game, and fighting him for 3 rounds is a nightmare as the pace he sets is very high. He doesn't look like it, but fighters that have faced him said that he's incredibly strong. This and his high fight IQ allow him to close the distance and fight in the clinch whenever he wants. So it's basically the fighter that you can't get close to versus the fighter that no one can stop from getting close. Unstoppable force versus a movable object. The two Olympians prepare and the match begins. They're in a closed stance. This means that cut kicks aren't as effective. Lead leg roundhouse kicks are more viable, with spinning techniques being the perfect counters for him. Seo loves this crescent kick to the body that he likes to land to the back of the guard. We see him try to land it right off the bat, but CJ is aware and he flicks one to the body. Seo fakes a cut kick, CJ tries to cancel and they clash. This is an extremely important detail. CJ is leaning back, so a spinning hook kick on offense wouldn't be the worst idea, but that wasn't really Seo's plan. He didn't want to clash with CJ here, he just wanted to fake the cut kick so that CJ lifts his leg to cancel. Since Seo helped CJ pull his leg and weight back onto the front, it gives CJ enough time to avoid it by jumping. Knowing this, Seo didn't fully commit to the spin, so he managed to turn back around quickly. This means that CJ couldn't move behind him in time, but since Seo isn't in position, he can't move away. This is the perfect chance to throw a combination of doubles. He knew he wasn't going to score each kick, but he didn't need to. The first kick usually isn't even there to score. But wait, how come Seo also scored? CJ clearly dodged. He used the momentum of the spin and the fact that his leg is already up to land a nice inside body kick. We can see CJ gaining space to then have no problem with moving back and countering. This is important as Seo likes to constantly hop and he usually gets close before one notices. He cancels the next kick and instantly gets to pressing CJ, who uses the space he got earlier. Seo can usually overpower or tank a kick and close the distance, but not with CJ. CJ moves back and goes for a double. Again, it's not about scoring the first kick, but about getting a chance to land the next one. CJ is now backed up and forced to clash with Seo, who uses that to land a nice body kick. He gets penalized for pulling and now CJ is leading by 2 points.
Seo Nickolas with 1:30 left in round 1. That was close.
That was one weird looking exchange, but it makes a lot of sense. When Seo tries to enter, he attempts to get rid of CJ's lead leg and connect their stances, but that leaves him open down the middle. This gives CJ the opportunity to land a spinning back kick right onto Seo's torso, but if Seo was to somehow avoid it, this would leave the American open just like we witnessed Seo getting punished earlier. To avoid this, CJ uses a back kick but doesn't fully commit to rotating as he instantly spins to the other side to land another kick. This puts him in a safe spot. They both reset and CJ is almost out of the octagon, but he noticed that Seo's position is a lot more compromised. This motivates CJ to quickly blitz in with an axe kick, which would usually punish opponents that are out of position, but Seo just managed to evade it. After an exchange, CJ is leading by 3 points and Seo turns it up. I want you to remember this pattern. They're in a closed stance. Seo forces a clash and he enters with a big crescent kick to the body. This gets him close and he eventually managed to score, but Seo is going to use this to set up something different. He fakes the cut kick to force a clash again and try to attack with something different, as CJ is probably expecting that crescent kick again, but CJ reacts to the root of the setup instead. CJ's coach always tells him to and keep changing his reaction. This makes it very hard to set something up with a fake because he'll just react to it a different way, so his opponents can't be confident with their initial setup. CJ's coach already doesn't like this, as CJ seems to be getting comfortable with entering the clinch like this. He instantly gets punished for it with his next action, as he managed to land a punch, but Seo cleanly punished the now obvious entry. Nickolas regains control, opens the stance, and blitzes in with a punch before Seo gets to enter with that right leg. Seo does something incredibly smart. We've already mentioned how CJ likes to perform the cut kick whilst having his torso turned in. Using his mobility, he's able to blast these cut kicks from below. Seo initially tanks the cut kick with his arm to the side and blocking. Him leaning back took a lot of force from the cut kick since it comes up instead of straight in, so the next time he enters, he leans back further and extends his arm, making the kick ricochet. CJ's pure athleticism saves him and grants him 2 more points. Seo gets close, but one feint makes him think twice. The American does a good job of keeping the optimal distance between him and the Korean. At some point though, he can't continue moving back and has to step forth. Seo acts yet again. Instead of placing his hands on CJ's chest to push, he chooses to push his hands instead. This opens up the guard, but Nickolas escapes it in time to absorb most of the impact with his hands. The remainder of the round goes very similarly to how it did until now, except for this one example of change in tempo. CJ slowly chambers and Seo reacts with a deep cancel. Nickolas then quickly flicks a chop kick before he loses momentum with the clash. Seo keeps up the pressure, but CJ does a very good job of maintaining the lead. First round, 23-18 for CJ. In the second round, CJ attempts to bait Seo into entering his range, but Seo counterattacks, getting close and gaining a significant lead. The fight continues where Seo does best, but CJ does something very interesting here. No, that didn't penetrate the Korean's solid guard. The way CJ landed that was by swinging his leg all the way. Look at how close it is to Seo. If Seo had tried to intercept with his lead leg, then CJ's leg would have clashed into it, and then CJ could finish the technique on a vulnerable target. That's something that Muslim Akhtayev did to CJ during this exact tournament. The way he swung his leg significantly helped him gain momentum and launch forth. To top it off, he placed his foot on the outside, which allowed him to snipe Seo in the side. CJ uses Seo's inability to move back due to his lack of space by going for a lead hook to the body that gets blocked. Seo instantly reverses their positions. Seo tries to enter and anticipates a cut kick from CJ. The American fakes it and goes for a sneaky hook kick to the back of the guard. Seo seemed to just get more and more dangerous the longer the fight went on. He moves back, times an entry, gets his points, and then they trade. He circles out, and now CJ lost all his progress with trying to take away the opponent's space. CJ goes for an axe kick and repeats it as a way of changing the tempo. Both seem to be getting tired of this and they just start throwing down. They're both exhausted and this is where instincts take over. 10 seconds left, and it's still neck and neck. They put everything on the line, and after all these body kicks, CJ chambers very similarly, but uses his crazy hip mobility to land a sneaky one to the head. It's 22-18, and he's trying to keep the lead for 5 more seconds. Solid stopping cut kicks negate all of Seo's spinning attempts. He tries his best to get one more chance of kicking with less than 1 second on the clock, but CJ takes it away. An insane show of skill, physical ability, and sheer willpower to win the Charlotte Grand Prix challenge.